So I think we're going to have a little bit of a journey here that I've been on with Feld Entertainment now, realistically, the last 10 months or so. We'll go back a little further in time, but primarily the last 10 months. And I hope it resonates with you guys and maybe gives you some ideas of how to approach DAM, especially in an environment that may not be thinking they're ready for DAM. So reverse, where we started from. Forward, where we've been doing the last little bit. Momentum, now we've got some momentum. Backflips, where we're headed, and into the circus. So a little bit about myself. David already told you I'm CIO for Feld Entertainment. I've been doing IT in some way, shape, or form for somewhere between 30 and 40 years, depending how you want to go all the way back to the Apple II Plus and all my different iterations. I've been Marines, I've been part of Warner, I've been part of HBO, I've been part of FinTech, quite a few different things. Mostly though, I've been doing innovation and having a blast doing it. So rather than telling you exactly what Feld is, since literally, I think there's one in the back that also knew what Feld was, I'm gonna give you a quick 30-second promo reel, give you a quick taste of what we do. So it's a fun place to work. This bit right before this said we bring millions to the shows, something close to 30 million. We do 3,500 shows in a year. We are the largest live entertainment company, not in the US, but in the world. We operate in 75 countries and we operate in 40 different languages. So it's quite an environment to work inside of. Some extra details here. It was founded in 1967 by Irvin Feld. His son, Kenneth Feld, is the current chairman and CEO, and along with his daughters. The family has run the company. Technically, you go all the way back to the 1930s. It started as a pharmacy in Washington, D.C. They discovered that using music to draw customers into the pharmacy led into producing music. One thing led to the other, and now we're producing live entertainment everywhere. I already mentioned we do 3,500 shows, 75 countries. That's BC, before COVID. Currently, we're ramping up, and we're having a good time getting there. Our headquarters, that building there on the picture, it's 600,000 square feet. To give you some idea of the scale, the buildings off to the side, we call it the West Wing, those are large enough to take a rail car inside of to do a full paint job on them. So inside of those facilities, we build and operate everything from script to costumes to stages to the monster trucks themselves, fiberglass work, mechanics, animatronics, you name it, we can do it inside this one facility. And then we ship it all over the world. We are technically the most fully integrated live entertainment studio in the world. And that's right out of my PR team. So really a lot of fun. As David mentioned, we are quite a few different shows. We're Ringling. Ringling comes back next year. Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Baily. We are Monster Jam, the large trucks. We are Supercross, now Super Motocross, which is motorcycle racing. Disney on Ice, that relationship goes back to the early 80s. Marvel Universe Live. We are Jurassic Live, so the animatronics, giant dinosaurs. And of course, we're Sesame Street. A lot of fun for the small ones. So, what is DAM? We're our own DAM master here. Master David, right? We all know him, we all love him, and he is literally the reason I got into DAM many years ago. Well, David describes it as digital assets are the essential building blocks of today's digital world. Absolutely. Digital assets are images, videos, graphics, and any other digital file. Keep that a little bit in mind. And the metadata that describes these assets. Absolutely, I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Or does anybody disagree? No, I didn't think so. And the second part here, digital asset management is the blend of software and business practices to manage these many digital assets. David is the DAM master. Well, as a CIO, it's a little different. We see DAM in a completely different light. We see it as a combination of things. So right off the bat, what is information? I'm Chief Information Officer. So what is information? Information is data and the context of data. I give you a number. What does that number mean? Is it dollars? Is it pounds? Is it euros? Is it a date? Is it a UPC? You don't know until I give you the context of what that number is, right? Very similar to our assets. We put an asset into our DAM and we add metadata to give it context. I would take David's second part of his statement earlier. Digital asset management is the blend of software, absolutely. Data, hardware, support models, processes, and business practices to manage them. So go back to data. So yes, we have metadata, absolutely. But for a CIO, data are things like databases. So my DAM, I source from databases to feed that asset management. For hardware, even if you're fully cloud, you have end user support that you have to deal with. You have end user laptops and desktops and encoding stations and what have you. Any disagreements? No? Okay. For those of us that are still on-prem, we have racks of storage and we have high compute systems, and we take a step further and we start talking about support models. We think in terms of disaster recovery, redundancy, business continuity planning. We talk about security, ransomware, and all those other headaches that a CIO deals with. And then there's the processes. Those processes that we operate inside of IT are the things that we functionally do for DAM. In my world, I've got 92 areas or applications that my team manages. 2 of them are part of the DAM. Everything else, yeah, it's ancillary. Maybe I've got a authentication system, what have you. But from a CIO, DAM is just an application, maybe a suite of applications. Does that make sense? Okay. So the journey for Feld. Maybe a little too close to read there, but the journey for DAM at Feld has been a very interesting one. Maybe having Elma would have helped out a little bit more. But the challenge has been traditionally that there wasn't an easy way to give an ROI. The business is live entertainment. We aren't, it's hard to say not at all, but we generally don't make a lot of money off of the digital side of the business. Yes, we do some streaming. Yes, we do some live broadcasts. Supercross is live broadcast. But it's not a big focus of the business. The big focus of the business is the 30 million tickets that we sell every year around the world. The products that we sell around the world. Every time you go to a show, you get a t-shirt or something. Those are our products. We design those in-house. So getting DAM into Feld has been a very interesting challenge. So I took the approach of using the core competencies of IT to move the DAM initiative forward without the business really realizing we were doing that. So why does Feld give a damn? I don't know. Well, if there's no ROI, then why would they bother? Well, it turns out we had something of a DAM from almost 20 years for our warehousing systems. Our warehousing guys would actually take a photograph of product coming in the gates, see what it looks like, and then they would put that picture on a box. And it would make it easier for them to go through the warehouse, which is 100,000 square feet, to restock shelves and the like. That tool for IT had just been going through the normal motions of, oh, it's coming end of life, let's run the upgrade. Oh, you know, the servers are getting old, let's migrate it from one server to the next. Yep, it's got a security patch it's got to put in. But no real functional changes, not any changes that this group of people would really see as moving a DAM initiative forward. So our warehouse uses, all the products there in the background, we actually design and manufacture them. Well, the manufacturing is done overseas, but It's all the design work's done by us. If you go to our shows, those are the guys that have actually been using DAM, and these are the products they put out. From there, we start talking about web content management. Yep, I got Disney on Ice, websites. I've got Monster Jam websites. Some of them are a few thousand pages in depth. There's a lot of content there. Oddly enough, Feld hadn't merged the two worlds. Creative. This, we did make some use of DAM, but only for archiving. Now the creative team is pretty large. We do video spots for commercials. We do episodic television shows for Monster Jam. We do live broadcasts for Supercross. We do any number of design elements, the graphics that you see on our trucks, the billboards you see for a show that's coming to town, the radio ad that you hear on the radio. That's all done in-house. So those guys were actually using DAM, but only when they were done and had needed someplace to put the content so they could free up space on the storage so they could make the next set of content. Not a real use of DAM. Metadata, if they had time, they'd put some metadata in. Legal and risk. So how many of you guys use your DAM for legal and risk purposes? Okay, there's a couple. So I'm live entertainment, right? Well, all that B footage actually has some value for my risk team and for my legal team. Lawsuits are common. Claims may or may not be valid. A picture or a bit of video is worth a lot to the lawyers and to the business. My risk team uses it for a setup of, this is the way we put together a sales point. We're selling our tchotchkes inside of a venue. The team will actually look at that and say, yep, we set it up correctly. We didn't violate the rules of that venue. So the accident that is being claimed, was an actual accident or unavoidable or whatever the case may be. But at least we have the content to actually show back to legal and risk. But most people are like, you don't want to put all that in the DAM. I take a different approach. I put it all in the DAM. So, where are we coming from? Well, it's pretty bad. It's a horror show, right? It really is. It's shelves upon shelves of content. The circus goes back 150 years, relaunches next year. The Feld formally goes back to 1967. It's been around for quite a bit. There's a lot of content in all kinds of shapes, sizes, formats. Anything you think of, we've probably done it. All the way back to some really interesting old slides that are, I don't even know what kind of film it was. They had very little organizational structure to support DAM. The IT team ran it as an application. You needed access to it. Oh, you were supposed to have access. Okay, you have access. That's it. Nothing special. The other big headache that we ran into while I was taking this on is, for some reason, they had everything remote. So we weren't cloud. We just had everything in a remote data center, literally in Florida. Where we're in Florida, the content was up in Ohio. So latency, anybody? Having a fun time downloading, video files that are upwards of a couple hundred gigs, even just grabbing a basic file. Always a headache, right? And support. Yeah, we knew how to add and remove users, and we would, call in a project to do the upgrade. That's about it. We didn't actually have a support team, no application management from a classic set of the equation. So we were really, at this stage, going backwards. So how much content do we have? Quite a bit. We lost the audio on this one. It was a little bit fun. But as you can see, and this is one set of our content, there is literally racks and racks and racks of material. And that's not an exaggeration, and there's much more than what we captured on that one little go. So we have a lot of work ahead of ourselves. Forward. So then we started having some fun. I took over as CIO in February of last year. That gave me a little bit of freedom. I had tried to pitch digital asset management as a project to the senior executives, failed. The previous CIO had failed. He had tried for 7 years, and there was just no interest. Didn't resonate with anybody. I got lucky. The senior vice president that ran Supercross and the senior vice president at CMO, who runs all the creative space, they both listened to what I said and talked to me privately. And they came back and said, you know what, for Supercross, let's get some temporary support just for the coming season, 1 season. So that's essentially January to May this year. The CMO is like, you know what, we've got all this content sitting in the cage, we need to digitize it, so let's at least get a couple guys that can start doing that. I'm like, okay, I'll take whatever I can get at this stage. Then I cheated. I've got an IT budget, I'm CIO, I got a little bit of flexibility there, right? Look, gotta cheat. You gotta do what you gotta do. So I knew that I had to do an upgrade, and I knew that I needed better support. We had had a devastating impact from COVID back in the early 2000s. So we took that IT budget and we said, you know what, we're gonna support this as a proper application from an IT perspective, just like any of the other 90 applications that we support. We got a proper third-party support for it. We got a proper stack of equipment. Then we migrated it from Ohio to Florida. Our creative team is in Florida. Don't know why it was in Ohio, but we did that. Well, suddenly the creative team could actually get to the dam and actually get some content out at a reasonable speed. That made things significantly better. That allowed me to have a little bit of movement, and it set the stage for the coming season for Supercross in particular. So then we have momentum. So December of every year, but December of 21, we have what's called Media Days. It happens in Anaheim. And in Anaheim, we bring together all the riders, all the teams, we do the press junkets, and we prep for the season. I went out and experienced this. Apparently nobody from IT had ever done that before. So I was like, all right, I'm getting embedded with you guys. From there, we parlayed that into making the existing pseudo dam into as best a tool as we possibly could throughout the season. I follow a 1% model, which is made famous by Cyril Brailsford, British cycling coach from a couple years ago. He took the team from being the worst cycling team in the world to being one of the most successful, if not the most successful team. And he follows the 1% model, which is make everything a little bit better every time you touch it. And we did that throughout the entire season. Every race, every weekend, we'd say, oh, this is what we've got. Did it work? Great. Nope, that didn't work. All right, let's tweak it, return it, try it again the following week. Race after race after race. By the end of the season, we were in pretty good shape. Then we parlayed that back to motocross, or to Monster Jam. During this time, I also upgraded all my hardware. New storage for servers. Wow, things transcode a lot faster. New storage for accessing and putting in content. Again, speed improved for us. That culminated into World Finals for Monster Jam. That's a big event where we pull all the trucks together and we really take out all the stops. But this is World Finals, Camping World Stadium, Orlando, back in May. It was one of the rainiest days in Orlando in many years. It was also a ton of lightning, and we ended up with flooding. And that college kind of try on that table was our attempt at doing dam on site. And it was a big learning experience. From there, though, we have actually taken that experience and we've built portable dam kits that we can actually go on the road with our teams and actually be used. And we're going to trial that one starting in 2 weeks, actually, at the LA Coliseum. So now we're at a point where we start hopefully doing some backflips as we get into Ringling Bros and Barnum and Baily. The circus relaunches next year. The whole part there is they've been spending 5 years prepping for this. And it meant going back through old material, archiving, digitizing, and what have you. And that contract came up for renewal. Now I got a chance for an ROI. So I looked and I got in front of the contract and I was like, you know what? These line items, I can do. We've built that tool. So now I've actually got revenue that I can, or at least dollars I can point to. For Supercross, it's about to relaunch with motocross. We run about 10 terabytes every race. The season's going to go from January to May is now going from January to October because we're extending the season. Monster Jam, we do about 30 terabytes. That's because we do 5 shows at a time, 5 tours at a time. So we're in 5 different cities simultaneously. Our warehousing team is now taking those snapshots to professional photography, moving it into e-com, web content management we touched on earlier. I'm in the middle of a re-platform for my websites. Natural that I can plug into my DAM. Legal risk and now finance is getting interested. You may have noticed that I use DAM in a very broad sense. So DAM now includes document management and contract management. Through all of this, because IT is taking the initiative, we're starting to standardize across different verticals in the organization. So what is done in our consumer products space, one vertical, is now being parlayed into what we do in our motorsports space, so that we have commonality across the company. Historically, different cameras, different formats, different storage locations, different everything. So, as we head to the end, what is a reverse forward momentum backflip? Well, the graphic in the background kind of gives you a taste of it. This is a stunt we did at the World Finals. But before I get there, I want to show you how big a monster truck is. So who's actually seen a monster truck in person? All right, so a few of you. All right, this is a 12,000-pound beast. It's got a 1,400 horsepower motor in it. It only has 3 gears, 2 forward and 1 backwards. And the drivetrain is actually built on 1960s technology forklifts. This is a really interesting set of machinery. We build them from scratch, from the frame all the way out. The seats are custom to the drivers. And just to give you an idea, so Mike here in the picture, he's here in the audience with us. He's our DAM manager. It gives you an idea. The tire is 5.5 feet tall. Just an insanely big vehicle, which hopefully sets the stage for what this is. So, clearly the stunt didn't quite land. So very similar to our digital asset management journey, it's not always perfect. However, that was the opening stunt for World Finals. It was to I think it was actually sold out for the stadium, that's Camping World Stadium in Orlando, and a lot of fun. We take that content and we start going crazy with it. So that is what we are now calling FAME. Feld Asset Management Ecosystem, because rather than saying it's this product or that product, we are saying, look, it's lens all the way through the destruction of the asset, which doesn't happen very often. So everything in between, every change, every transcode, every iteration, every possible use, and then some.